Thanks for tuning in. I'm Chris, and that's Murph, and we're going head-to-head, making picks so you can cash in slips. So grab a drink, enjoy the show, because this is the smartest idiot you know. Hello again, and welcome back. My name's Chris, and Murph is not here again. But rest assured, he should be here Thursday for our pick episode. I'm going to do the recap, and I'm not sure how long this episode is going to be. Hopefully, it's not very long. Hopefully, we don't get too much in depth. But you never know with me. I could go off the rails. I am long-winded at times. But, yeah, last week, what a week. I started out hot. I think I started for the morning games, including Thursday, 8-1, I think. I think it started 8-1. And then it went all downhill in the afternoon. I couldn't get a game except for the Cowboys. I lost quite a bit for the evening games. There's 4 in the afternoon, 1 Sunday night, and then 2 Monday. And for Sunday, I got 1 out of 5. And that's not good. So I ended up capping out Monday night, going 2-0. For the week, I was 10-5. That afternoon really got me, and I took some risks, and we'll get into that. And I know some of the risks I took. It could have panned out well, but in the back of my mind, I kind of knew better. But yeah, that I went 10-5, and Murphy went 9-6. He sent me the picks. We went over it in the last episode, and he went a respectable 9-6. I got 10-5, just one win more than him. And crazy enough for our pick'em, the pick'em that we do, I did not make my Thursday pick there. Obviously, I said it in the podcast. It was the Bengals. And sure enough, I didn't make the pick. And sure enough, I tied for first amongst 5 other people and lost due to points in the tiebreaker. And if I had just made that Thursday pick, I'd be walking with the purse. But, you win some, you lose some, I guess. But yeah, I'm sitting at 56% so far for the year. We're 7 weeks in. I'm 56%, and Murph is at 63%, 7 weeks in. And just the amount of games. I mean, we're looking at 108 games that we have made picks for. That's a pretty good accomplishment. I've got 60 right. I've lost 48 of them. I've had some pretty atrocious weeks, though. Well, actually, I'll say atrocious. I mean, it's not really atrocious. The most I've lost is 2 units in a week, but the most I've won is 5 units in a week. Whereas Murph is sitting pretty good. He started out 2 weeks in a row of 8 units, and that's propped him up pretty good. And he's been pretty steady, and trying to catch up to that. And I think I will. But moving on, yeah, Thursday, we kind of touched on that on the last episode. The Bengals came out and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was a 2-point game. Joe Flacco effect is in full force, so get ready. Get your popcorn ready for the Bengals as they make a push for the AFC North, and we'll see where that goes. I mean, no idea what's going to happen with the Browns. No idea what's going to happen with the Ravens, but the Bengals, they're making moves, trying to make a push. So we'll see. But that's really going to get us into the first game that we had was the LA Rams versus the Jaguars. And I touched on it last time. I'm not going to harp too much on it this time, but I really dislike the England games, the overseas games. I'm just not a huge fan of those. You can't win me over on them. I just don't like it. And really, the only benefit is that there's football going on all day, right? As soon as you get done with that 8 a.m. Central Standard Time game, it's going right into the midday games, and then those lead right into the afternoon games, and then there's like a short break, a very short break, and then Sunday night happens. That's a good day for football. But the England games, I mean, just do an early game. There's no need to go overseas. But this game was lopsided. It was very lopsided. It ended up 35-7. The Rams did what they were supposed to do, and it's the Rams. I knew the Rams were going to win. I didn't know they were going to blow them out, and I think that's the overseas effect because Jacksonville has a pretty decent defense. Although they were missing a key defensive starter, but that doesn't explain the blowout. It really just doesn't explain the blowout. So that is going to, and with these games, this 35-7 game, their next game, Jacksonville could be a bigger underdog than they probably should be. I haven't looked. We'll get into that on Thursday. But the Rams, they might be too much of a favorite based off of this game, and I don't like these blowout games. I think if this game played at Jacksonville, I don't think it would have been 35-7. And I mean, you can't convince me otherwise. Definitely leave your comments and give us your feedback on whether or not you like those England games or not, or if you think I'm on point. But I'm just not a fan of it. But 35-7, there's really not much to unravel there except for because it's an England game. I'm not even going to unravel the offense that was Jacksonville. Brian Thomas, I do not know what happened to him. He had a season low, I believe, of yards, receptions, targets. And Hunter, the last game that they had, and then this game, he's emerging as a pretty reliable threat. He's pretty good at being a possession type receiver, and he's got some aggression, which is good. I like that about him. I like watching that part. I like those aggressive receivers. You put him and you put Pickens together, and you've got a nice aggressive duo there. But yeah, so with that game, look, the Rams blew them out. Be curious to see what the next matchup's going to be, and I think it kind of muddies the water in an analysis standpoint, but don't let the England game put wool over your eyes for both of these teams. We had Carolina versus the Jets. Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry, we'll go ahead and say who got right and what and who got right when. But for that game, we both had the Rams. So that's a good thing for that one. I think we had the Jets and Carolina, and that game was a little closer than I wanted it to be. That game resulted in Justin Fields no longer being the quarterback for the Jets, probably, unless Tyrod Taylor just really messes the bed. I don't think he will. He's good at keeping an offense going steady. He's a career backup is what he is, and that's what his job is. I think of him and I think of Brissett as being similar caliber type backups, although Brissett I kind of hold in a higher regard. But yeah, Tyrod Taylor, I believe, is going to be starting the next Jets game. And this game was 13-6. That was the final product there. We both had the Panthers. The Panthers were favored by 1. And the Jets offense is just atrocious. They don't rank in the bottom in every single category, but their passing is horrible. They only do 279 yards a game in offense. That's ranked 28th, and that's just not. That's pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty bad. The defense that they're playing against is middle of the road, and some of these teams that they've played against that they can't rummage up some offenses. Thinking of the Cowboys in general, right? They played the Cowboys. I don't know what the next move for the Jets are going to be. I don't know. maybe they trade for a quarterback, would a quarterback actually make them better? I don't know, because Aaron Glenn is not an offensive guy. He's a defensive guy. So I don't know, throwing a quarterback in there like a Kirk Cousins or a Will Grier or somebody that is a backup in the league right now that is available that's better than Justin Fields. And I don't know. I'd be curious to see who the Jets face next based off of Tyrod Taylor to see what those chances are. Because similar with Jacoby Brissett, and we'll get into that Arizona Packers game. That's going to be in the afternoon games, what that Brissett impact is. But Jacoby could have a similar impact, although I don't know how big it will actually be. So I'd be curious to see who the opponent is for next week. I just haven't looked that far ahead. But 13-6, Carolina covered. We both got that win. And we're going to move on to the Philly and Minnesota game. Philly and Minnesota, I did not like how that game ended. I really wanted Philadelphia to kick the field goal there. But the good news is, though, is Philly, they threw the ball. Hurts had 3 TDs. And with those touchdowns, a lot of people were complaining about him not throwing the ball. He didn't throw. I mean, he threw for a lot of yards. He threw for 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, I believe. And with that being said, they weren't trying to prove people wrong, but they obviously there's the critics out there. Philly has not done great as far as offensively. They've done everything. It's like they just are coasting to win. That's what they're doing, flying by the they're doing the bare minimum, it seems like. And they have the luxury to do that. They don't need to blow up the scoreboard in order to win. They don't. They can run the ball. Well, they're not really running the ball. I think they are rush yards per game. They're 25th in the league, as of last week. But they run the ball at a 46% clip. So what that tells me is one of two things. They're either Hurts is running and he's not getting a lot of yards. And that clip does get up because they do the push-tush. I mean, technically that counts as run. But I would imagine Barkley at some point has got to get to – I don't know how – it's odd that Barkley has done what he did last year, and this year he's just so quiet. I don't really have words for that. People can believe in cliches and superstitions and things of that nature, but, Barkley is a good enough back. It shouldn't matter if he won, awards the year before and, should come out and be able to perform even though he won awards. And it could be something with the offense, just the way that the offense is being called and being played. But, I mean, they were playing Carson Wentz and the Minnesota Vikings. Murph had the Vikings. I had the Eagles. The Eagles won. It was a 1.5 point spread. Eagles definitely covered that. But towards the end, I really wanted to see them kick that field goal. Go up 2 scores, and then, they can have the ball back with 20 seconds left or a minute or whatever the case would be. But they just ran the clock out. And, I hear the case of running that clock out. But what they did was like very Bill Belichick, like how they ended the game. It wasn't so cut and dry as far as just running the clock out, if that makes any sense. I just really would have loved to see them kick that field goal, for selfishly at least. But yeah, Hurts, he threw for 326 yards. Barkley only had 44 yards. Smith had 181 yards and Brown had 121 yards. Both had touchdowns, but Brown had 2. And it goes to my previous point of people were talking about how he wouldn't throw the ball. He's not throwing the ball. And sure enough, he comes out and he has a game like that just to kind of be like, hey, look, you complain I don't run the ball or don't throw the ball. I threw the ball. So That game is what it is. Minnesota on the other side, Carson Wentz. He had 313 yards, but no touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions. They couldn't run the ball. Addison, he went off for good yards. This team, we're going to get into it later. This team plays the Chargers next, and I'm not in the Vikings camp yet. I'm just not. And there's a reason why this game was a 1.5 spread, but the Eagles, they won by 6, so that's really all that matters there. I expect the Eagles to struggle against good teams, be close games, and then bad teams. I think it's just a mindset. I can't say just yet if they're going to play like Philly needs to play in order to win, or if they're still just going to coast. Which one of these games, if they keep doing that this year, one of these games that they play a lesser opponent, they're gonna mess around and find out, with one of these lesser opponents at some point. They're gonna get in a hole too late and they can't get out, and that happens. It happens to everybody, and it's not going to be anything about Philly just not being good or anything like that. It's just they're playing with fire, I feel like. But that's go right into the Miami and Cleveland Browns game. Miami and Cleveland Browns. I said Cleveland was going to run away with this. Murph also agreed with me, and we got this game right. Cleveland won 31-6. Dylan Gabriel, he performed well. Miami is a dumpster fire, just like we said they are. No idea what's going to happen for Miami the rest of the year. Mike McDaniel, he might be in the hot seat. He might not say he's in the hot seat, but I don't know. Dolphins are 1-6 now, and I don't know. Surely he doesn't have a large leash. But with this game, I said that they needed to run the ball. Gabriel might have multiple touchdowns, but it'd be awesome if they just fed the ball, to Judkins. And they gave the ball to him 25 times. Gabriel didn't have multiple touchdowns. But guess who did? Judkins. He had 3. He had 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, keep feeding him the ball. Miami was a team that you could definitely run on, but Gabriel only threw the ball 18 times, and they played the game how they should have in order to win. They ran the ball, and so I'm glad they did to prove me right. And I'm happy that happened. We got the Las Vegas. Do we even need to talk about this game? We have the Vaders. Las Vegas Raiders versus the Chiefs. That was a blowout, 31-0. There's really nothing to say there. Kansas City was playing a horrible team. They're missing some key players there. The defense is not playing. It's like they're giving up, and they need some injection. They need some players there. They need something there to kind of wake them up. And the KC game was not a game to wake them up. Murph and I both had Kansas City by 12. They definitely shattered the 12. There's really not much to say about this game. Not much deep dive we need to go into for that. But we do have New Orleans Saints versus the Chicago Bears. That one was one that Murph and I kind of split on, and I lost that one. And if I had to go back, I think that's the one game. Actually, I think there was a couple. This was one game that if I had to go back, I would probably do the Bears. I think I was just leaning more towards the Saints because I liked what I saw in the last few games. But if I really thought about it and I was playing to win, actually like win, looking back, I should have picked the Bears. They were favored by 5. They won by 12. And the Saints, they just could not get any type of offense really going here. They tried to get a spark in the third quarter and to try to come back a little bit, right? In the second half, the Bears only scored 6 points. They had 2 field goals in the second half. And that was the time for the Saints to come back and come alive. But they didn't. And that's what the Saints did in the past few games is the second half. They've come back, and they didn't against the Bears. Too many turnovers, too many, not good decisions, not good play. And, the Saints are the Saints. They're nothing. They're not something that, I'm going to hang my hat on for hardly any games. Yeah, that was going to be maybe the only game I hang my hat on for right now. And Chicago is one that I'm not going to be afraid to back, depending on the opponent. The only thing that kind of worries me about them, there's two things really. That when I'm looking at them for a game, is how their defense is going to perform. Does it look like they're going to be able to create turnovers? If so, then I'm going to lean a little bit towards Chicago, depending on what the line is, and then also offense. It really does run through Caleb Williams, and Caleb Williams can make some really dumb decisions. He can hold the ball too long, and he can kind of panic a little bit and just make the wrong decision. He makes the wrong read. And that worries me. It really does. That worries me when trying to back a team like that because they have talent, they have weapons, they show spark, they have a good coach, or it seems like so far. And for those reasons, I will definitely be backing the Bears in the future, depending on the spot. But we also had the Patriots versus the Titans. And then this game, we all know what this game was. This game was a revenge game. It was going to lead to that, but Tennessee had already fired their coach. So the storyline, the narrative there was out. And, 31-13, Drake May did what Drake May does. It was a Tennessee type game to where, they started out strong. They kind of got everybody to worried a little bit that was back in New England, but New England came back and was like, look, here, we're gonna focus up. We're gonna play New England style ball, and we're gonna clamp down on the Tennessee Titans. And that's what happened. They scored 3 points in the second, 0 in the third, 0 in the fourth. So, I will definitely back New England multiple games, depending on the line and the opponent, of course. But I really like how New England is coached. I think that they're going to do good this year down the stretch, and look forward to seeing those matchups and talking about those in the future. But for that one, Chris, myself, sorry, I don't know why I said Chris. I did that the other episode too. Murph and I both had the Patriots here, so it was a good win for both of us. We had the Colts and the Chargers. This one was one that if I could take this one back, I would have taken the Colts. I took the Chargers just thinking, hey, this could be a good spot that Indy actually loses here. Their momentum to going in. And but the one thing that is scary is the Chargers and that offensive line. They really have gone downhill since that offensive line. And some of the play calling a little bit too. They've lost their running game is not there. Hampton is hurt, right? And but Indy capitalizes. They play good defense. They play good offense. And I just can't really think of a team that can come in and just beat Indy. And in my right mind, I should have just went with the Colts. And I was trying to be cute there and picked the Chargers, and I lost that one. Murph had the Colts. I had Chargers. And in that game, there's really nothing to talk about as far as what you saw and what you didn't see. These are two games, two teams that what you're getting. Until Chargers get their injuries back, they're going to score some points. They're not dead in the water, but good teams like the Colts are going to beat the Chargers. And then they're going to struggle against teams that they probably should not struggle. But you have to remember, they're missing anywhere from 2 to 3 offensive linemen. And some good ones at that. So, that's a huge issue. And Herbert has made it known that he does not do well when his offensive line is injured the way that it is now. So just some food for thought in the future when you're looking at the Chargers. I don't think we'll have to worry about that going forward because I think some of those offensive linemen are going to be back next week. But we'll see how practice goes this week, and they play Thursday, so we'll get into that game at the end here, and when we get through these the rest of these Sunday games that we made some picks on. But the Broncos and the Giants, man, this was a good game. This was a good game. Everyone had written off Denver, and they come back to win it, right? Or we thought they were winning it, and then they made these bonehead penalties and gave the Giants the ball on the 2-yard line. And the Giants score, and now they're ahead. And then sure enough, the Broncos, they do what clutch quarterbacks want to do. What Peyton Manning used to do, and Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and Tony Romo. They got within field goal range in the final seconds to win a walk-off field goal, 33-32. It was really an exciting game. I mean, Denver scored 33 points in the fourth quarter, and they won 33-32. Just look at that box score. If you ever think your team is out, just remember, Denver scored 33 points in the fourth quarter to win 33-32. That game and the Patriots Super Bowl against the Falcons are two games to always remember. When you got your back against the wall and you're down big, it's never over until it's over. But Denver, Denver's defense is supposed to be good, right? No, it is good. It is a good defense. But for whatever reason, these last two games have not really proven it, except for they allowed 13 points in the fourth quarter. Yeah, they did. They had a bonehead penalty that basically gave them 80 yards, but they clamped down on the fourth when it was needed, and then the offense had answers. The offense did not have answers in quarters 1 through 3. For whatever reason, they just were not making good plays. Murph and I both had the Broncos here. We lost this game because, the spread, it was Broncos were supposed to win by 7, and they only won by 1. So, I mean, the Giants, I look forward to watching the Giants in the future, and coming from an NFC East fan, that is not something that, I just naturally say. But the Giants, with Dart and Scatterboo, that's going to be good to watch in the future. We also had the Green Bay, Arizona. This is another game that I lost, and this is a game that Murph lost as well. Green Bay was favored by 6.5, but going back, I would not change this pick, but I did say going into it that if Jacoby is playing, this game might be closer. I mean, Jacoby is a good quarterback. He does what's supposed. Well, we're also comparing him to Kyler Murray so far this year, who hasn't really done much. And if you've listened closely to what I've been saying about Kyler Murray, you can tell I'm not the biggest fan. I grew up liking Kyler Murray. Obviously, I didn't like him when he went to OU, but he did good at OU. He's one of their better quarterbacks that they've had. He won the Heisman, #1 overall draft pick. In all of his stints, even in high school, because he went to the same high school that I went to, the leadership has just really never been there. I've never really seen the leadership from Kyler Murray. And, and you can see in some of the body language, and that matters. It really does. Some people can say it doesn't. But, look at Arizona. Just look at him. Look at him all the years that he's been there. And you tell me what the success they've had, and you tell me based off body language what leadership looks like. And, I'll sit here and I'll wait for that. But Green Bay, Green Bay is in the same boat, though, here of some of my negativity. Green Bay should not be going 27-23 against Arizona. They should not have been within 6 points of the Bengals. You know, I mean, I could go on. They should not have tied against the Cowboys. You know, it should not have been a 1-point game against the Browns. You know, I mean, there is, I don't know. There's just no, I can't explain what's going on with Green Bay, but they're not, just like Philly. Philly's not playing up to their potential. Green Bay also is not playing up to their potential. And that makes it hard to decide on who to choose for some of these games and the lines that come out. You know, the line was 6.5, and it nowhere should have been. If Kyler Murray had played, I do believe that the Packers would have won by, more than 6. But with Jacoby coming in, it ended up being a 4-point game. And they clamped down on defense when they were supposed to. And, yeah, they won. But, I don't view it as a Green Bay victory because they should have blown them out. Plain and simple. But I think I said it already, but Murph and I, we both had Green Bay, and so we lost that one as well. Washington and the Cowboys. Murph had Washington at 1.5 favorites. I had the Cowboys at 1.5 dog. And, boy, that was a good game. That was a good game. And it was one of those games as Cowboys fans that frustrates you because you see what they can do on offense against a team that plays decent defense. Decent. I say decent. It's not great defense. I mean, you look at the week before, Dan Quinn and Joe Witt are definitely struggling to call this defense. And Cliff Kingsbury, he's got his work cut out for him. All these injuries. And Jaden Daniels doesn't seem to be the same form that he was last year, and they're struggling with receivers being healthy. I mean, Terry and Debo were out. I mean, Washington just had so many injuries. I don't even know who they put out on the field. But the Cowboys won by 22 points. They won on defense, they won on offense, they won on special teams. And that's what you're supposed to do with teams that are down on their luck. They're not doing very well. And Washington is one of those teams. And Dallas finally one of those against a team that is subpar to them. Dallas has a great offense, but a horrible defense. So I don't know, and that's what makes Dallas hard to back in the future or know when to back them is because of you don't know which team's going to show up. You don't know if this is going to be a team that they blow out, or is this the team that they tie, or is this the team that they just decide that they're going to sit on the bench the whole game. But we split on that. So I won that one. Murph lost that one. And we'll see who these opponents have next week. And most likely they will be L's. But no, I haven't looked ahead. I don't know who they will. We'll get into that on Thursday. I was kidding about the L's because Washington is a decent team if they're healthy. And Dallas is, who knows. We had Atlanta versus the 49ers, and Atlanta was my pick. And Atlanta, Atlanta did not do good. The Niners came out with Mac Jones and the injuries that they have, and they scored big in the second quarter. Not big. They scored 10 points in the second quarter and never looked back. They won 20-10. Murph had the 49ers, and Murph won. I lost. And Atlanta kind of does this too. This is a game that Atlanta should have won based off of their play style. NFC South versus the NFC West. And, they should have won this so they can get to 4-2. But instead, now they fall to 3-3. And the Falcons, they have a really good team. They have a really good defense. They have a really good offense. And they're playing against a down on their luck team in the San Francisco 49ers, which you know, kudos to Kyle Shanahan and Clay Kubiak and Robert Saleh for taking this injury-riddled team and being 5-2. I mean, if you told me that this 49ers team would be 5-2 going into week 8, I would have been like, okay, go kick rocks. You don't know what you're talking about. But, I mean, they're in here beating teams that they should not be beating. Atlanta had the performance that they had last week, and rolling that into a team that's down on their luck. Either they weren't prepared, or, they're one of those teams that they're a roller coaster team. They go up and they go down. They go up and they go down. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. It's just it falls on the day that they're going to go down, and they lost 20-10 here. And we go into Monday night to recap the last 2 games here, and then we'll cut into the Thursday game, and then we'll call it a night. But Tampa Bay and Detroit, baby, I can't tell you enough how much I loved that Detroit game. I really do like the Tampa Bay team. I think Tampa Bay is really good on both sides of the ball, but man, they were so injured in this game. They were so injured, and it was unfortunate to see that they were that injured. But they only put up 9 points, and I think a lot of that has to do with injuries. Baker really tried. He tried. He tried to. He did everything that he could to keep them in the game and potentially win. But potentially win was not an option against the Lions. The Lions they put their foot on the gas and never let up. And was it a blowout? It wasn't a blowout in the sense of, it was 40-15 or something like that. No, it was 24-9. They ran the ball well. They threw the ball well. They went on some fourth downs, And in the third quarter, they coasted. They could have put up more points in the fourth quarter, but they coasted. They only got a field goal in the fourth. But Tampa Bay, they were getting the ball in the end zone. Mike Evans got hurt. He broke his clavicle. He's out for the season. And Ibuka, am I saying his name right? Number 2, Tez Johnson. Those are your receivers that you got running out there. The rest are hurt. Your star running back is hurt. You got some defensive guys that are hurt. But on the flip side, you got Detroit that's missing basically every starter in the secondary. They're missing their safety and 3 cornerbacks, the starting cornerbacks. And they were able to put the clamp on Tampa Bay, which was fun to watch. I'll continue to watch Tampa Bay play, just even though they lost to Detroit. And you're not going to keep me from a Detroit game. Watching that offense is just fun. But yeah, I mean, I had Detroit, Murph at Tampa Bay. The line was 5.5, and Detroit definitely covered in that game. And the last game of the night was Houston and Seattle. And I remember saying that this was going to be a defensive game. And yes, the over hit. It was 27-19. But man, you wouldn't think Houston played defense here, but they did. They played good defense. Seattle played really good defense. And the fourth quarter, it seemed as if they had multiple chances. The Texans had multiple chances to get it into end zone, and Seattle stopped them dead in their tracks every single time. I mean, Sam Darnold, he had 1 interception. Cooper Kupp had an interception. And I think there was a fumble somewhere in there too. I mean, Houston played good defense. They're real aggressive. But they met their match in Seattle. I mean, Seattle plays really good defense, but the flip side is their offense is banging. Yeah, they're moving. Houston Texans, their offense is not moving. It's going backwards. Houston's Texans is on a free fall for offense. Their defense is great, but their offense cannot catch up. And I think Nico Collins, he went out of the game. I think it was in the third quarter. They're dropping kind of like flies. Stroud does not look good this year so far. They're ranked 20th in yards per game, 19th in the pass, 22 in points per game, 16 in rush, and they only run the ball 46% of the time. Yet they're 7th in time of possession. So they're holding the ball. They're holding the ball a lot, but what that means is they're not making it on third down. Their red zone efficiency was 1 for 3 here. And goal to goal efficiency, they were 1 for 2. So it's just one of those things that Texans, they need some offensive help there. They need a mindset change. They need to get better on third down, and they need to continue with drives, and then rely on that defense. But we both had the Seahawks. They were supposed to win by 3, and they did, and that was the last Monday night game. And that takes us into Thursday. This Thursday's game, that is going to be the good old Minnesota Vikings versus the Los Angeles Chargers. We just saw Minnesota against the Eagles. They didn't play horrible. They did not play horrible. But their offense, they're ranked 20th in yards per game. You have the Chargers, they're ranked 4th. And they're ranked 3 in passing yards, so they love to throw the ball. But Minnesota's defense, they're pretty good against the pass. They only allow 184. But so is the Chargers defense. They're right there with them. They allow 192, so they're 8th. So you got the 8th ranked defense going up against the 7th ranked defense against the pass. And when I see that, and I see the offensive line coming back, some of it, I'm looking at the Chargers to beat Minnesota Vikings here. Carson Wentz struggling under pressure. Rushing the ball, who's going to run the ball here? Rushing yards per game, the Chargers are ranked 16th. Minnesota is ranked 20th. And defensively, they're both towards the 75%, of the league. They're the bottom 25. They're the bottom 25% here. They rank 18 and 19 against the run. Time of possession, the Chargers hold the ball. They average 32 minutes a game. And both of these teams, they are, they protect the ball. No, actually, Minnesota is dead last in protecting the ball and giveaways. They average almost 2 turnovers a game on offense. So I was wrong about that. And then the Chargers, they turn the ball over too. They're more like 1.5. Both these teams, Minnesota is dead last in NFC North. The Chargers are 4-3. They're second in the AFC West. They're a game behind Denver. Murph has got Minnesota here. The point spread is 3 last time I checked. And at 3, I'm probably going to take the home team here in SoFi Stadium. Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers if they get the offensive line. If by Thursday, Joe Alt and Pipkins, if they're not, if they're not in line to start, then I might switch back over to Minnesota. But if they're on that line, give me Chargers. Yeah, I'll worry about the running game later. But, give me the Chargers. And Murphy's going to have Minnesota, and we'll see how that is on Thursday. But that's a wrap for here. Those are the games that we had this weekend. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope you enjoyed listening to me these last 3 episodes. But I believe Murphy should be here next Thursday when we do our picks, and we'll go through the full slate. We'll have 6 or 7 games that we'll go into detail about, and then we'll just say our picks for the rest with maybe a one-liner here or there. But yeah, we'd like to both be on the mic for the next episode, and yeah, send us your thoughts. We're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're on Apple Podcasts. Leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe, and be prepared for the next episode. We do pick winners. We do pick winners. And if we don't, let us know. If you don't agree with us, let us know. If you get some winners because of us, let us know. But the whole goal for this is to just, sit back, relax, enjoy what you're listening to, and then parlay that into a weekend of football. So we'll see you on Thursday. You guys have a great night. Good luck.